would like to talk about a pain today. And the purpose of this video is to educate you on two things. First of all, a lot of people don't know about what pain is, how the pain works. And most of the time, the pain education in the medical industries talks about how this is a bad joint, this is a good joint. You have a pain because of you have a bad joint, you have a bad disc, your disc is slipped, you have arthritis, your cartilages are gone, you're bone on bone, you have a slip disc and things like that, which is most of the time not the case. The second purpose of learning about the pain is it's a human behavior. It's human are whenever we are in pain or you have a clicking or grinding in the joint, you start getting worried. That fear automatically comes in because you have never had it before. And now you all of a sudden you have a pain or the grinding or the clicking or anything like that. We start getting worried unconsciously. When that happens, consciously or unconsciously, and when that happens, you automatically, your muscles start guarding. You slow down, you avoid the activities to the full potential. First of all, you don't want to cause more damage. And when that happens, you also have a muscle guarding because it says, you sure you want to do this? So you don't move as gracefully as you want to. It creates a resistance and you're moving against this resistance and fighting, which creates more problem. So when you understand pain, how exactly it works, it takes your fear away, takes your worry away. When that happens, your muscle guarding goes down. Now you move with ease and you're not fighting against that resistance. So eventually you try to restore your mobility back and you get back to normal, right? So that's why it's very, very important to understand how the pain works. Hi, I'm Dipti Patel, physical therapist with 20 plus years of experience, therapeutic pain specialist and a yoga teacher. Don't forget to subscribe and click the bell so you get notified when my new video is released. I have so much information that I can't wait to share with you so you embark on your pain-free journey and live fearless, active life. I want to invite you to write down a definition of pain. Let's go ahead and take 30 seconds and write down what pain is. In your opinion, what do you think a pain is? Okay, I'll give you about 20 to 30 seconds. So go ahead and write that down. All right. This is the definitions of pain by International Association of the Study of Pain. So what they say is the pain is unpleasant sensory and emotional experience which follows actual or potential tissue damage or is described in terms of such a damage. Now what does that mean? I'll break it down for you. Whenever somebody has actual or potential tissue damage, so you might have a skin tear or ankle sprain, fractured bones, tendinitis, bursitis, arthritis, or anything going on, your body creates unpleasant, you don't like it, sensory and emotional experience because of that damage, and we call that a pain. Now at the end of this video, I want you to rewrite these definitions and I'm going to come up with the modern definitions of pain, and we'll compare the difference between this one and the next one. All right? So first of all, most of the time our relationship with the pain is bad. We just look at it as an evil. We don't like it. We want to get rid of it. And when that first, I want you to understand the pain is not all bad, So let's say there was no pain. We were born without any pain at all. There is no concept of pain. And you don't have a concept of fire. You don't know what fire can do for you. And you want to cook something. Let's say you want to roast marshmallows and you want to put your hand out on the fire with some handful of marshmallows. What's going to happen? Slowly your skin going to burn, and then your flesh going to melt, and it's going to become a messy mess, right? So thank goodness for that pain that says, hey, back off, it's hot, you can do it. So pain is a critical lifesaver. It's a loyal and faithful companion. It's a protection. It's telling you something, and we want to know what is it telling us. That's where we want to need to communicate. Now let's look at the history of pain. So pain is out there for centuries, from the beginning of our humankind, right? So first, Aristotle said the pain is a passion of the soul. The Hippocrates says it's a fluid imbalance. In the body, somehow the fluids are imbalanced, and that's what causes the pain. Prior to Renaissance, it said it was a punishment or the test from God. So if you do a bad karma, or the evil people get pain. Even in Chinese medicine, which was about 3,000 years ago, they talk about yin and a yang. When they are imbalanced, you are in pain. Now, during the Renaissance, Rene had this mechanical view of pain. So what he said, the particle A enters in the body. So particle A enters into the body through this mechanical tube and then connects to the brain, right? So this is first time ever in time that Rene connected a pain to the brain. So far, everybody connected a pain to the heart. They said, well, it's because of your bad karma or punishments or the fluid imbalance and stuff like that. So first time ever the pain connected with the brain, and that had opened up a new lens to look at the pain. So what happens is, if that's the case, if that's what causes the pain, then what can we do? Well, there are three things you can do. First is avoid the danger. Don't even come in a contact with the particle A, right? If you don't come in a contact with the danger, it's not going to hurt. So if you have a ankle sprain, don't put too much weight on it. Avoid the weight bearing, and you're good to go. If you don't do it, no pain. Well, that will last for few days, few weeks. You can do this for months and years, right? You have to slowly get into loading those tissues and keep moving on. Now, the second concept was, well, we can put down the fires. And how can you put down the fires? You can do injections. That's what our modern medicines do. We still follow this concept that Rene gave it to us in 1654, 350 years ago. So how do you put down the fires? You can do injections, medications, ice. If you have been in physical therapy, they do ultrasound, electrical stimulation like TENS machine and stuff like that, right? So, well, that will work, but so far it has not given us the results we are looking for. You agree? The third thing we can do there, well, we can cut the cord. That cord that connects the point A to the brain, we can just cut that cord off. How? We can do surgery. We can do nerve ligations. We can cut that nerve off like a nerve ablations and stuff like that. Well, it doesn't work on everybody, right? We have seen that people who do the surgery, they still cannot get rid of the pain in most of the time. Sometimes they do it for temporarily, and then it comes back in a few years or in a few months. So this is the major leap that happened in a pain neuroscience. So in 2001, they started using a functional MRI machines to research the pain. Now, what is a functional MRI machines? So they are only used, first of all, in the research settings. They are not used in the clinical settings, okay? And they only scan the brain. So whenever the brain is active, it picks up more glucose and oxygen from the blood. And when that happens, it lights up red. So any areas that gets activated, they lit up red in the scan. So they used to use this for Uh, they used to use the functional MRI machines only for like a strokes or the traumatic brain injuries. Wanted to see if that areas which are got damaged by the injuries, are they getting activated when the person does the activities. So that was a functional MRIs used was, and then they started using it for the pain. So what they did and what it does is, first of all, they'll put the patients into the scanner, and they will see what the brain looks like, what the brain skins look like, and then they will make the persons do the activities that's painful. It could be back, then you can arch your back and forth and see what that does to the area. And that's how they look at and the brain will light up whenever that person is doing the painful motions. And that's how they started researching the pain more in detail. So this pretty much in the modern science, pain neuroscience, this is the old view, right? This was Renee said, whenever your tissues are injured, those danger messages or those fire particles A will enter into that tube, which is our nerves that connects to the spinal cord. Spinal cord takes a message to the brain, and that's how we are pretty much learning the pain. Now this is the modern view right here. You see how complicated this is, and that's why people say that the chronic pain is a complex problem. And this is the reason there's multiple things happen in the back scene when the pain is going on for a long time. Now, let me tell you about, this was a study by Lorimer Moseley. He's our guru in a pain neuroscience. He's a physical therapist, but pretty much neuroscientist, and he studies the pain in detail. And he has lots and lots and lots of research studies out there. He has wrote several books, and he practices in Australia. And he started, his first study was 2002 with the brain scan. So what he did with the functional MRI machine, he had a patient who came with the chronic back pain, and he put the patients into the scanner and got the painful, the movements in the scanner, and then the whole area of the brain got lit up red. They pulled up the patient out of the machine, and he sit down and educate a patient about the pain neuroscience for about 2.5 hours. And they put the patients back in the machines, and when that patient and then scan again, and lots of area turned white. And that's how they knew that learning about the pain does help to calm down the nervous system. And slowly he had started working on pain, and this is the way he explains and describes the pain. And we'll, over the course of time with my videos, we'll look these things in much more details. Now, what I want to say, let's talk about a Moseley story, and it's very inspiring, and I highly recommend that you watch his video on YouTube. And the way he describes it, it's so funny. But let me tell you how he came up with this idea of the pain, and this is how I want you to look at it. This is how our brain works. So he was backpacking with his friend in Australia one time, and in the morning he got up, and he and his friend wanted to go for a swimming on the river. So they were walking, and something brushed on the outside of his left ankle. So whenever some injury happens, there are two things happen. First is the A delta fibers, which are insulated, thick fibers. They take the message really fast to get you out of the danger, and tells the brain, quick, hey, something brushed on the outside of the left ankle. And then the brain decides that how dangerous the situation is and takes the action. And the second thing is the C fibers. They are a little slow conducting. They are a little they have a little insulations, but not enough. And they take the message very slow, gives to the spinal cord. Spinal cord takes it to the brain, and the brain have a meeting with the 9 areas and decides that, hey, did this happen before? No. What kind of injury? Is it anything bleeding? Is anything broken? Any skin tear? What's going on? I want to know more information. Well, nothing happened like that. There is no skin tear. There is no bruising. There is no swelling. There is nothing. So brain says, okay, I don't need to take any actions. And then Moseley walks off. He goes to the river. He swims. And he comes out of the swimming, and that's the last thing he remembers. His friend saw the foam coming out of his mouth, so he got him into the emergency room. And then 3 days later, he woke up in the ICU and realized that he got bitten up by the poisonous snake in Australia. And about 9 months later, he goes for hiking again, either with his friend or family, and something brushed on the outside of his knee, and he screamed in pain. The pain was so severe that he held on to his leg, and he said, "What on earth?" And then they realized that it was just a bush he brushed against. There was nothing dangerous. But the brain, this time, it's a similar situation. He's hiking, he's in the woods, and this last time it happened, it really almost killed him. So the brain decides to give him so much pain this time, so he takes the actions right away. You see how it works? So that previous memory in the brain had made him take an action so severe second time, even though the first injury was so dangerous and the second injury was not dangerous at all. So pain is sometimes, there is a lot of factors plays in the role when it comes to pain. Let's take a scenario. I invite you to take a look at the scenario. So let's say you squeeze your own finger, okay? Squeeze it as hard as you can. And then have a friend or a family member squeeze your finger. Hopefully they are not too mean. And compare the pain. Write down the pain from 0 to 10 where your pain is. And then a stranger, let's say somebody approaches you and squeeze your finger as hard as they can. Out of those 3, which one do you think it's going to be the most painful? Any answers? Or please comment below. I want to know what your answers are. And again, if you wrote down that pain definitions, I do want to know your pain definitions. So please write it down in the comment. So obviously a stranger squeezing your finger is going to be more painful because you don't know who that person is. Where is it coming from? Why is it squeezing my finger? Right? There's a lot of thoughts, emotions, and beliefs run versus you're doing it on your own or the family member does it. Make sense? Let's look at the next scenario. So this was researched in the research setting. So what they do, they have a participants and they divide in a group A and a group B. Now what they're going to do is they're going to touch the probe, which is negative 21 degrees. Okay, it's very, very cold. And they have to rank a pain from 0 to 10 where your pain is. Now group A gonna be will see the blue light when they are writing their pain from 0 to 10. And group B they will see the red light and the probe is touching, and then they have to write the pain from 0 to 10. You get the idea? Group A, blue light, they have to see the blue light while the probe touches it, and then the group B sees the red light while the probe is touching them. So what is your guess? What do you think which group's gonna be higher? Any idea, any suggestions? Please comment below. I want to know what you think. So here is the thing, the group B with the red light, they rank the pain higher than the group A with the blue lights. Even though the probe is cold, the red is always fire. You know, red is more alarming. It is like, okay, don't do this. So it's always associated more with the pain. Now I'm going to show you several slides about the vision and taste, and we'll talk about the hearing, because all the sensations, just try to understand how, because pain is also sensations. But stick with me, understand this concept of the vision and the taste and the hearing, and we'll try to put the dots together with the pain so you understand this at a little bit more depth. So first is, let's say here is a checkers and I have A and alphabet B. Which one do you think it's darker? Is A is darker than B or B is darker than A? What do you think? Take a guess, and I do want to know in the comment below, which one do you think it's the darker? The A, alphabet A, or alphabet B? Well, the answer is alphabet A and B both are the same shade. Most of the time people say the alphabet A is darker than alphabet B is. And it is because of the lights. So first of all, alphabet A is in the darker checkers, right? And alphabet B is in the lighter one. So they said in order to come out the A properly, it has to be a darker shade. And the B is in the shade from this little cube here. So that's why it becomes tricky, and we pick the A as a darker one. So I don't know about you, but this is what I learned in the biology that this is how the vision works. When you see the objects, the light reflects to the objects, that light reflects to your eyes, bounces to your eyes after it reflects to the object, and whatever that object is gets imprinted in your retina upside down, and that goes back to the occipital area of your brain, and brain turns it up and it says, yep, this is what you're seeing. Is it that black and white? Not necessarily true, right? Because let's say you have a big rose bush, right? Has a bunch of flowers in it, and you put 5 people around and say, I'm going to give you about 30 seconds to look at this bush, and then ask everybody that what do you see? Every single person is going to give you a different answer. Somebody will talk about the flowers, somebody will talk about the entire bush, somebody will talk about the color of the leaves and the shades of the leaves and the thorns and so forth. So whenever we see the visions, there is many things plays a role. Your experience, your education about that thing, your context, how you grew up, your environment, all that plays a role on what you see, right? It's not a black and white as simple as we think. One more. Let's say which line is longer, top line or a bottom line? If you have to guess fast, most of the time people say it's a bottom line, right? But both lines are the equal length. Let's see which line is parallel. Do you think the top line is parallel or the bottom line is? Are they both parallel or not? Well, maybe, may not be, maybe, may not be. Now let's see if I change the background and see what happens. Then they look more parallel. Here they don't look as parallel as they are, right? But when you change the background, they look like a parallel. Well, we didn't do anything. We just put the new background in the back, right? So it gets trickier. It gets trickier. One more time. Do you see anything wrong with this picture? Look it very closely. This is from Mosley's and Harvey's book. Do you see anything different in this other than they're upside down? Do you see any other problem in this picture? Look it closely. All right, here I'm going to flip the image. What do you see? Look at those eyes closely. What do you see? They're upside down, right? But when the picture was upside down, we were not able to pick up that difference because our human eyes are designed to see things straight way up. Let's look at the look at the taste. So this experiment, you can do it at home. I did it in my home. So I took 2 glasses with the same lemonade in each glass. And then I just put the green coloring in another glass. And then I had 5 kids over. I have my 2 kids and I had 3, their friends were over. So I asked each kid, I said, which lemonade do you think has more flavor in it? And the 3 of them picked green, and then 2 of them wanted to be smarter, so they picked the clear lemonade. So then I gave them a spoonful taste. I said, okay, check the taste and tell me which one it is. Well, the 4 out of 5 picked the green, the darker green, after tasting it, both. So it's again the same lemonade, but the color of the lemonade became tricky. Really tricked them that it was very hard to say which one is more intense. And you can do this experiments by the smell or by the calorie. Which one do you think has more calorie in it, and stuff like that, and see what people how we think, right? Now, one more thing is a hearing example, and I'm sorry I could not upload the video here, but this was goes like this. There was a message, one single line message in a gibberish, and it was repeated 3 times, and you have to really say what the message was. And I could not figure it out. I really concentrated hard, but I could not figure out what was the message. Now what they do is they tell you the message in a one time, very clear voice what the message is, really fast. So then they play the gibberish again. Now once you know the clear messages, you are able to pick out the gibberish, what that gibberish says. But before, without having that background knowledge that what that message was, it was impossible. And we were about 3 or 5 people in that class, and we could not figure out what was the message about. So I hope you are understanding what I'm talking about here. Now, yeah, I understand the taste and the smell and the visions and so forth, but what this has to do with pain. So my one take-home message here for you is pain is like a visions or any other sensations in the body, and they're based on many complex processes, okay? They're based on what beliefs you have, what thoughts you have, what education you have, what are your past experiences you have, and that's how it makes the decisions. It's not a black and white that you have a tissue injury, you have a pain. There's lots of factors plays a role here. So this was our definition before we started this video, which said pain is unpleasant sensory and emotional experience which follows actual or potential tissue damage and is described in terms of such a damage, right? Now this is our modern definition. This is easier version of our modern definition. Pain is an unpleasant feeling that is felt somewhere in the body and urges us to protect that body part. Pain is an output. It is not an input. If you just remember this, you're golden. Now, what is a modern definition of the pain? Pain is a multiple system output, not just one system. Even in the brain, there are 9 areas communicate, have a meeting before they give out. That's called pain neural signature. Sometimes they're also called a neurotag, okay? So it's a multiple system, gets collaborated, decides pain or no pain and how much pain. This neural signature is activated whenever the brain concludes that the body tissues are in danger and the action is required. So compare your definitions with these definitions and see and I want to know your comments, what you understand. Now, other thing is, if you have, after watching this video, I'm sure you're going to have so many questions. I hope you do, because the only way to get better from chronic pain is when you really understand this. These are very hard concepts, and I'm trying to simplify them as best as I can. But sometimes, I speak this all the time, and it's easy for me to understand it because I've been doing it for so long, and I don't know if you understand it or not. So if there was any hard concept or if you didn't understand anything, please comment below and ask me questions, and I would love to help you. So looking forward to answering any questions or any concerns you have. All right, and thank you so much for your support and watching this video. Looking forward to come back with some more good information.